Hey everyone, and welcome back to our mini-series on Pokemon Trading Card Game for the Game Boy Color. This is part 8. We are almost through our little short interstitial here. So don't forget to like, comment, follow, subscribe to continue seeing this playthrough and some of our others. Last time where we left off, we had just beaten the Water Club, and I was doing some additional training in here and also in the Science Club. And one thing I wanted to show real quick is that I finally got, through additional training, that Clefable card. So we're going to be able to go to Ishihara's house now, and now we should be able to pull off the Clefable trade. Excellent. Alright, now let's see. He doesn't want any other cards, but let's see if we maybe go back in. Okay, there still aren't any he wants. So last time we left off the Water Club. Now, though, we want to go to the Fighting Club as our very next stop on our journey. Hey there, everyone. Post-production Greg here to talk about a little bit more what went on here. So very first thing that happened was we found this character Imakumi in the fighting gym, and he's got a very interesting card, as you can see. Well, first off, his character is interesting, but also his card will just be a coin flip, and if you are successful, it will paralyze your own Pokemon. I think this is just a weird promotional card. You beat him 3 times and he gives you the card. So, he's a bit of a gimmick, but, that's the Japanese charm for the game. So we beat Imakumi, and then in order to make it through to the fighting gym, you have to go to a bunch of other clubs in order to find where the other members, the lackeys of the fighting gym, are. The very first person we faced was Michael, and he gave us a little bit of trouble. This was really our first time using our new Sabrina deck, and I found that it took a little bit of tweaking. I initially took out the Slowpokes and Slowbros that we had put in there because I found that it took a lot to get them going. And that's what I find a lot with this Psychic deck, is it's really good, but it takes a lot to get going. Mewtwo was great. However, and this is going to be a repeating theme for getting one to the final match here, but is that Psychic is strong against fighting in this game, but but the colorless energy, the normal type, so to say, is resistant to Psychic here. So a lot of these trainers will stack their deck with fighting types, but also will stack them with colorless energy types. So you really face a big trouble, and they're usually 3 times resistant. So if you have a 40 base power move, it'll only do 10 damage. I faced an immense time against Chris here. He took me, I think it's the longest battle I've ever had in this game. We went down essentially to the wire, and I whited out because I couldn't get any more cards. The big issue here was that I couldn't do any damage to him because he had all of these normal types. And so my 30 type attacks, or 30 power attack from Gengar, the only damage I could do was that Gengar has this really cool move where it will, I believe it's not Dream Eater, I forget what it's called, but essentially where Gengar will do 10 damage to a bench Pokemon also. But then Gengar also has an ability, that Pokemon power, that will allow you to move a damage counter from one opponent's Pokemon to another one. So I had to keep doing that in order to try and get him to win. Well, eventually I realized I wasn't going to win doing that strategy, and it became a war of attrition because I just didn't want to quit and reset against Chris. So, this battle went on, as you can tell. I think it went on for about 15 minutes. And until eventually I realized, let me just use my last Professor Oak card and some of my Bill cards to make sure I see what I can do against him. After I have all this difficulty with him, I end up eventually just switching to my grass deck. I did find that Mewtwo was pretty powerful here. He has a 40 base type attack move, Psywave, I believe. That's pretty good, but just like other legendaries, he's not too overpowered in this game. The really most powerful Pokemon, or the cards that you'll have here, are the ones that you have to build up, the evolutions. The base cards, like the Haymaker types, they really don't work all that well. I mean, they're great, but they won't win you the game. So as you see, I lose there to Chris. I switch out. I put in my favorite deck so far, the Dazed and Reused deck of all grass types and some normal types. And then I just go to town on him. Once I get my Venusaur, I get really lucky and I can get a Venusaur early, and then I just Solar Beam my way through all of his guys. So that really was not that difficult, especially once you can throw Snorlax out there who tanks a bunch of hits for us. So yeah, once I got Venusaur out, he made quick use of Chris. And you'll be able to tell I take a bunch of screenshots because I thought it was funny. Chris actually looks a whole lot like a friend of mine, Chris, who, so I wanted to really, well, it grinded me that he kept beating me, but it also was great when I finally beat him. Okay, and next up you have Jessica, who's the final person. I just used my Dazed and Reused deck again. Didn't have a ton of trouble with her. I did lose, I think once to her because I just had bad luck of draw the cards. But then, Tangela helped me get through, and then Kangaskhan. So it really was a not that difficult. The last thing I want to mention, though, is Mitch is the leader of the fighting club. And again, I had some difficulty with him. Well, once I went back to my Sabrina deck, I still had the Slowpokes and Slowbros in there. So I forgot to take them out. But I got a really bad draw the first time where I got a bunch of Slowpokes and Ghastlies that I couldn't do anything with against Mitch, that really couldn't attack at all. So you'll see here that you'll have to restart a little bit, and then the next time I just hit a wall again with him. And what I end up doing, you'll see, is I end up reshuffling my deck a little bit to get some Haymakers in there. And so I'm finding the best way to do it is get a few Haymakers, get a few evolutions you can build up, and that makes for a great deck. Okay, so if you're tuning in, we have been having a little bit of trouble with Mitch, and I think it's more so trouble with my deck here. What I'm going to do is rearrange some of the deck. I'm going to take out the Slowpokes and Slowbros. I'm also going to take out those Ghastlies and put in the promotional Ghastly instead. Maybe have an additional Haunter. Or no, you know what? Let's take that out and let's do another Kadabra. And then what can Jinx do? Double Slap? Yeah, let's do Jinx and then one Mr. Mime. And let's take on Mitch with this new revamped Sabrina deck. It's really great. So the Psychic deck is really great if you get it rolling. It is not good if you hit a little bit of a stall. All right, well, let's see. We just put Jinx in. Let's see how we do. All right. We can start building up our squad from there, huh? Another Bill card. All right, we have Alakazam. Nice. Let's use a plus power here. Is there anything else we want to use? No. Or we'll take 30 damage. That's pretty good. Let's keep building up Jinx. I like Jinx so far, huh? I think I really like Jinx so far. All right. Oh man, if we hit both double slaps here, we could take Mitch out entire. Oh no, you know what? Let's use meditate. That should be 40, huh? And there we go. Easy as pie, Mitch goes down. I think that was worth it because of all of the consternation around facing his cronies and himself. That we got the fighting medal that quickly. I will take that. And now let's see what we get in a laboratory booster pack, huh? I don't know if these are any new cards. We already have that Mewtwo. Alright. Oh. I don't know if we have that Grimer. Let's see. That might have been our new card we got. Well, hey, anyway, thank you all for tuning in. This was a bit of a more interesting run than normal, and I think it was very fitting for our second to last medal. So don't forget to tune in for our next episode where we get our very final medal in the Psychic Club. And after that, we have only a little bit left before we finish this side game. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow for more posts and more videos, not just for this game, but for others.